more sort of sterile, but doesn't matter. 9-0, the signal has been given, and it started with Boasberg. Other things they're very worried about being reversed. So this is one aspect in which the unanimity of the Supreme Court decision is huge. As you say, from Thomas to Jackson. And of course, there's a fault line there. Sotomayor and the other two came out expressing the horror and outrage, and the actual per curiam is much.
Trump thought his judges would be loyal little puppets, dancing to his tune whenever he pulled the strings. But plot twist, these robed rebels are now slapping down his policies faster than he can post angry all-caps tweets. Even Chief Justice John Roberts had to step in when Trump threw a tantrum about Judge Boasberg stopping his Venezuelan deportation plan. Roberts basically told Trump, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." Turns out putting people in fancy black robes doesn't make them your personal yes men. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Trump thought packing the courts with over 200 federal judges during his presidency would be like installing a personal fan club in black robes. Every time he introduced a new judge, he'd practically give them a bear hug and whisper, "You're gonna be loyal, right?" Well, turns out these judges actually read the Constitution instead of Trump's tweets. Awkward. Judge John Coffenor, who Reagan appointed back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, recently looked at Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship and basically said, "Nope, not today, Orange Julius." He called it blatantly unconstitutional and even added, "I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as it is here." Ouch! That's judge speak for "Are you kidding me with this garbage?" Well, Trump's response to judges not being his personal yes men?
Even though the Supreme Court didn't go as far in terms of immigrant rights as people would have liked.
Other things they're very worried about being reversed. So this is one aspect in which the unanimity of the Supreme Court decision is huge.
Their authority in ways that we haven't seen, say, of the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives and the Senate. So who's going to write the habeas petition? So what you're seeing, I think, is some of these federal judges, like a Trump-appointed judge in Texas.
Total meltdown mode. When Judge Boasberg blocked his Venezuelan deportation plans, Trump demanded impeachment faster than he orders Diet Cokes. But Chief Justice John Roberts wasn't having any of this judicial temper tantrum. Roberts fired back that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. Translation: that's not how any of this works, dummy. The judicial spanking party doesn't stop with Trump. His bestie, Elon Musk, is getting smacked down too. Judge Chuang in Maryland ruled against Musk's attempt to play government demolition derby with USAID. The judge pointed out that eliminating federal agencies is Congress's job, not something you can do because you woke up grumpy and decided to break the government. The judge also noted that Musk's actions harm not only plaintiffs but also the public interest by trying to steal power from the public's elected representatives.
They still said there has to be a habeas petition and due process. And so we're seeing a lot of federal judges assert
more sort of sterile, but doesn't matter. 9-0, the signal has been given, and it started with Boasberg,
which now the federal judiciary is almost totally in line with, provided there is venue and the right jurisdiction.
What's truly hilarious is that Trump keeps acting shocked when judges do their actual jobs instead of whatever he imagined they'd do. It's like he bought 200 puppets but forgot to attach the strings. These judges took an oath to uphold the Constitution, not to make sure Trump's feelings don't get hurt when they rule against his half-baked executive orders. The tension between Trump and the judiciary is getting spicier than his well-done steak with ketchup. Every time a judge rules against him, you can practically hear his blood pressure rising through his Truth Social posts. His entire strategy of judicial domination is crumbling faster than a Trump casino in Atlantic City. While Trump thought he was creating a judicial fan club, what he actually built was his own legal nightmare factory. Remember Judge Brendan Herson? This Trump appointee just blocked funding cuts to hospitals providing gender-affirming care for transgender youth, proving that sometimes the monster you create is the one that eats you for dinner. In his February ruling, Herson didn't mince words, stating the challenge to his order was likely to succeed. Basically judge speak for, this policy stinks worse than Trump's tanning spray.
Yeah, it's a really excellent point, Ben. Look, judges exist within a culture of the federal judiciary among
to almost preemptively address the issue that a lot of people were concerned about, which is that,
as you say, from Thomas to Jackson. And of course, there's a fault line there. Sotomayor and the other two came out expressing the horror and outrage, and the actual per curiam is much.
These migrants don't exactly have on a Rolodex the name of constitutional lawyers. So,
but wait, there's more. Judge Adam Abelson, another federal judge in Maryland, took a big red pen to Trump's anti-diversity crusade by blocking parts of his executive order that banned DEI programs in the federal government. Abelson explained that Trump's order was so vague that agencies had no reasonable way to know what, if anything, they can do to bring their grants into compliance. That's like giving employees a task written in invisible ink and then firing them for not completing it. Pure Trumpian logic. These rulings aren't just isolated incidents. They're part of a coordinated constitutional beatdown happening in courtrooms across America. Trump's ambitious agenda is hitting legal roadblocks faster than his golf cart racing to the 18th hole buffet. Each time a judge rules against him, his administration has to go back to the drawing board or abandon policies altogether. It's like trying to play chess when the board keeps disappearing. Getting desperate, Team Trump has resorted to some shady tactics. When Judge Boasberg ordered a halt to Venezuelan deportations, flights mysteriously continued anyway. The administration claimed the planes were already in international airspace when the order came down. A legal defense about as believable as Trump's natural hair color. Judge Boasberg wasn't buying it either, leaving Trump's team scrambling for excuses. The situation has gotten so bad that Republican lawmakers are now considering nuclear options to neutralize the judicial branch entirely. They're floating ideas like cutting court funding, limiting the geographic reach of rulings, and even impeaching judges who dare cross the orange line. As law professor Jeremy Paul pointed out, under our system, up until now, it's always been understood that it's the courts that decide whether executive authority is legitimate or not. But Trump seems to think courts should be more like his golf scorekeeper, always ruling in his favor regardless of reality. So here we are, folks, watching the system actually work for once. Judges that Trump himself put on the bench are telling him, nope, that's not how this works. It's like buying a pet tiger expecting it to eat your enemies, but then it bites you instead. The big question isn't if Trump can win these court battles, it's what happens when he loses. Will he accept the rulings like a grown-up or throw a tantrum and try to break the whole judicial branch? Based on his history of respecting institutions, well, let's just say I'm not optimistic.